This is Adrar Province in southern Nigeria. There isn't a town within 100 kilometers. There is no water. During summer, surface temperature here rises above 50 degrees Celsius, and in June this year, contractors started digging a trench across it. This is the Trans-Saharan Gas Pipeline. It is a 4,128 kilometer steel pipeline that runs from the gas field of southern Nigeria across Niger to Algeria's Mediterranean gas network. It can carry 30 billion cubic meters of natural gas every year, about the amount used by a medium-sized European country. And when it is finished, it will be the longest pipeline ever built in Africa. The idea has existed since 1970s. It took 50 years, 3 governments, and a continent-wide financing decision before construction finally began. The pipeline passes through 3 countries. Algeria has the longest section, 2,310 kilometers, from the Niger border to Arsenal, the country's biggest gas processing center. Niger section is 841 kilometers long. Nigeria builds the southern section, connecting the pipeline to its own domestic gas network. 3 state-owned companies are building the projects: Sonatrach, Algeria's national energy company, and one of the world's biggest gas exporters, NNPC, the Nigerian National Petroleum Company, and the Sonidep, Niger's national petroleum company. Sonatrach and NNPC together own 90% of the project. Sonidep owns the remaining 10%. There is no foreign company with a controlling stake. The project is fully owned by African state companies, which is unusual for a project of this size. The ending point of the pipeline is what makes the project possible, as Sahara is already connecting to pipelines and the export terminals that supplies Europe. Gas arriving from Nigeria does not need new export facilities. It connects directly into a system that has been operating for decades. Nigeria has the gas. As of January 2026, it had proven reserves of 215.1 trillion cubic feet, the largest in Africa, but no direct pipeline to European markets. One country has the gas, another has the route, and the pipeline is the 4,128 kilometers that connects them. Building it is a different challenge. Installing a large pipeline across the Sahara creates 3 major problems that are not found on milder routes. The first is temperature. Surface temperature here rises above 50 degrees during the day and fall close to freezing at night. Steel expands when it gets cold and contracts when it cools. Across thousands of kilometers, that movement adds up to meters instead of centimeters. Engineers deal with this in 2 ways. They build expansion loops into the route so that the pipes can move safely, and they bury the pipeline deep enough for sand above it to reduce daily temperature changes before they reach the steel. The second problem is that the ground itself moves. Sand dunes shift over time. A route surveyed one season can end up buried under several meters of sand the next, or become completely exposed after the sand is blown away. When the pipe is exposed, wind-blown sand slowly wears away the protective coating around the steel. Once that coating is damaged, corrosion begins. The third problem is pressure. As gas travels through a pipeline, it gradually loses pressure because of friction. To keep the gas moving, compressor stations must be built at regular intervals along the route. Each station works like a small power plant in the middle of the desert. It needs fuel, permanent operating staff, spare parts, security, and an access road that can carry heavy equipment. That is why the Algerian section follows the Trans-Saharan Road, an existing highway across the desert. Using this route removes a huge amount of extra work. Pipeline deliveries, workers' transport, heavy machineries, and future maintenance all use a road that already exists. Without it, every compressor station will need its own special built access road. None of this is new. Pipelines have already been built across deserts. The engineering is well understood and the project has funding. The more difficult challenge has always been politics. If you're still watching and you're yet to subscribe to my channel, please subscribe. Now back to the video. Niger has the shortest section of the pipeline, but twice it has stopped the entire project. The first reason is security. The route passes through parts of Sahel where armed groups have operated for more than 10 years. A buried pipeline is a fixed piece of infrastructure. It cannot be moved and it cannot be hidden. Protecting it requires permanent security presence for as long as the pipeline is operating. The second reason is diplomacy. For most of 2025, relations between Algeria and Niger broke down. Normal communication remained closed for about 10 months and work on the project stopped as a result. That changed in February 2026 when both governments restored diplomatic relations. The first major commitment they announced was the pipeline through Niger. Then came the decision that allowed the project to move forward. Sonatrach agreed to finance and build Niger's entire 841-kilometer section, in addition to its own 2,310 kilometers. Niger keeps its 10% ownership, continues to earn transit revenue, and under current plan will also receive gas for domestic use. Algeria takes on the construction cost and the financial risk. In a continent where large infrastructure projects often wait years for foreign financing, this is an important example. The funding came from Africa itself. Construction on Niger section is planned to begin in early 2027. That leaves the country supplying the gas. Nigeria's gas fields are in the south. The export route goes north. For many years, there was no pipeline connecting the two. That connection is a separate project called Ajaokuta Kaduna Kano Pipeline, or AKK. It is a 640-kilometer, 40-inch pipeline costing $2.8 billion. The project was proposed in 2008 under Nigeria Gas Master Plan, and construction officially started in 2020. First gas was originally expected in the first quarter of 2025. That date later moved to early 2026 and then to July. The delays had three reasons: financing problems, security challenges along parts of the route, and one crossing in particular. Building a 40-inch pipeline beneath the River Niger delayed the project for years. It is one of the most difficult pipeline crossings ever attempted in West Africa. In 2025, NNPC confirmed that the main pipeline welding beneath the river had been completed. This month at Nigeria Oil and Gas Energy Week, the contractor Olisav, a Nigerian engineering company, announced the mechanical completion of 303-kilometer sections between Ajaokuta and Kaduna. The pipeline itself is complete and ready to carry gas. The remaining work includes treatment facility and block valve stations. NNPC now says the pipeline is 98% complete. The pipe has been laid all the way to Kano and commissioning is being considered for September. AKK is more than a domestic pipeline. It is also the first phase of the Trans-Saharan Gas Pipeline, the main line that will eventually carry Nigeria gas north to connect with the Trans-Saharan Pipeline. That means the same pipeline serves two purposes. It supplies gas to the power station, fertilizer plants, and factories across northern Nigeria, areas that have depended on diesel generators for decades, and it also becomes the first part of export route to the Mediterranean, commissioning it for Kano and also commissioning it for Europe. There is another project being planned, the Nigeria-Morocco Gas Pipeline, now called African Atlantic Gas Pipeline, will stretch 5,660 kilometers along the West African coast through 13 countries before reaching Europe through Spain. It is expected to cost around $25 billion. The first exports are planned for 2031, with construction continuing in phases into 2040s. It has the same capacity, the route is longer, the cost is about twice as high, and it required approvals and political agreements from 13 different countries. It would connect 13 national gas markets into one network and serve about 400 million people along its route. A much bigger opportunity, but also a much longer project. The Trans-Saharan Pipeline is smaller, cheaper, and already under construction. It comes first, and it will show whether this model works. This is where the project stands today. Algeria is building, Niger has funding and is scheduled to begin in 2027. Nigeria has completed 98% of its feeder pipeline, with commissioning still under review. Nigeria has had Africa's largest gas reserve for 50 years without a direct route to Europe. Algeria has had the route but not enough gas to fill it. For half a century, the 4,128 kilometers between them remained only a line on a map because no one was willing to pay for the connection. What has changed is not the engineering. Pipelines have crossed desert before. What has changed is that 3 African governments have invested their own state companies' money into the project and started building towards each other from opposite ends of the Sahara. If those two ends finally meet, this project will prove something much bigger than a gas pipeline. It will show that infrastructure on this scale can be financed, built and owned in Africa. The first retest comes in September. Thank you for watching. If you like content like this, kindly like and subscribe to my channel. See you in the next video.